Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Why Should I Care About This? My name is Erebus.
I'm BaconLord.
And I'm Yorongoth.
And welcome to the first ever episode of Why Should I Care About This? A DC Legends podcast telling you why you should care about certain features of the DCL game. Today, we are going to be talking about alliances. Now, alliances are the most communal aspect of this game, and they are also kind of the lifeblood of this game. You probably will not continue on for very long in this game if you are not part of an alliance, just because this is where all the socialization happens in the game. This is where you can make your friends. This is where you can learn more about the game itself, other than from this podcast. And it's a way to get some really great rewards that you will miss out on otherwise. Isn't that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I love that you threw a shameless plug for the podcast that they're already listening to within the podcast that they're currently listening. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's very good advertisement for sure.
Listen to our other episodes. Clearly.
It's true.
But in regards to the rewards, the easiest way to get these is by doing missions for the Alliance, which is easily just having the proper tunes and doing heroic or PvP battles. And the rewards can be used to purchase various things such as energy, fragments for various heroes, and speed up forces.
A hodgepodge of things, really.
Exactly.
And all of those, a lot of those rewards can be found on the social tab within the shop.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, one question that new players might have is, how do you find an alliance? How do you join them?
Well, let me tell you. No, so there's a lot of ways to join an alliance, and it requires some work on everyone's end, but if you look hard enough, you'll find a good alliance that's usually right for you. One way to do it is to go on Reddit. There are two different Reddit communities. Is that what they're called? Communities?
I think so.
They are now.
They're called communities. And there's the one that's called, the main one is the DC Legends. I'll pull it up because I got my computer. DC Legends, the mobile game. That's like the main community that everyone's on and that everyone posts stuff for. That's the one you're not allowed to post recruitment stuff on. Just to be very clear. It will actually get flagged and taken down within the community. However, there's a second one that's linked on that community. I believe it's in a pinned message still, or at least it has a direct link to it somewhere, called DCL_recruitments. And that is where you can find an alliance. So most of the bigger most alliances will use that as a place to plug their alliance and say, hey, we're recruiting for X amount of members. Here are our requirements. Must be level 50 plus to join, or whatever they're saying to you, because they say a lot of different things. Some say you have to have 80 plus and have at least 10 rebirth tunes. It depends. Some people say new players welcome, so those are the ones you want to look for if you're a new player. But that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is the many community Discord servers that have alliance-based channels. There's two big ones. There's the DCL4E, which is hosted by our very own Zuzu, and there's the DC Legends 4U channel. Both of which have channels dedicated to alliance recruitment and solo player recruitments, so that alliances can either post their information and have people apply to them, or vice versa, solo players can post that they're looking for an alliance, like, hey, here's my roster, please recruit me, and be as desperate as you want, I guess, because some people go in like level 70, please add. And they just leave it there, and it's kind of that moment like, do we even try, or do we just leave them there? And then some people are like, here's my entire roster from top to bottom. I'm a level 70 player. I've been playing since this date. And it's like, I just needed your roster. Just like the top half. Just the first half would have been fine. But we appreciate the dedication, I guess, is the point of that. And then the third option is to find a specific alliance is to go into the in-game community center that they have. It's that icon to the far right that looks like 2 chat boxes, and you can actually go into the posts, and people do post alliance recruitment tabs. That's a little bit harder because it doesn't always work correctly and doesn't notify people when you comment on their post or like their post or message them. The messaging system is terrible. Please don't message people on the community center because it will not go through. Please, for the love of God. And the last option is you take a gamble and you can do a random search on the Alliance tab, which is on the left side of the screen. It's got like a bunch of hero silhouettes and a plus sign, and that's where you can go in and hit random. You look for a random alliance, essentially. So those are like the core ways to find an alliance. That was a lot of information. Why did I have to talk about the biggest section of this podcast?
You did a really good job.
Hey, I've done it. I've been there. I've done that.
Yeah, and I would also like to add that we will post links to the Reddit, to the Discord servers that we have mentioned, and to our own Discord server, both on our website and on our Twitter account, which the Twitter account is @ApokolipsPod, and the website is apokolipspod.com. So please find us on both of those locations. But if you are having trouble finding the links to the things that we've talked about, that's where you can find them.
And if you join our Discord server, we can remind you and tell you there.
Exactly. There will also be links to our Discord server in those locations. So, I will say, when I first started this game, I did not realize how important and impactful alliances are. And this was before raids were even introduced. So alliances have gotten only more significant over time. And I just joined the first one that would take me. So as Bacon was saying, I did a random search for some key term that I thought sounded DCE and cool, and I hit apply, and for some reason they accepted me. I later found out the reason they accepted me was because they were not a very good alliance. They were just looking for anyone who would have them. To illustrate quite how bad of an alliance they were, I was regularly the top performer as a new player, and the day I went to leave that alliance to go and join United as One, which is an incredible alliance, actually pair of alliances, United as One and Pios Eros. The day that I was leaving them, they promoted me to an officer and did not tell me.
That's pretty funny.
I went to click the leave button, and on that membership page, it said officer.
You know, when you're just that good.
I did not get it. One other great thing about alliances, as I was mentioning with the camaraderie aspect, many alliances will have Discord servers for the alliance where they can chat with each other, get to know each other. There is an in-game chat option that is very bad.
Yep, just as terrible as the CC.
Exactly. Don't talk to people in the game. Talk to people on Discord.
Yeah.
It's better. So I ended up leaving them a message saying, "Hey, I'm leaving." 3 hours later, nobody had responded at all, but a few other people had commented to other things, and I was just like, well, bye. So, yes. Find an alliance that will talk to you. Find an alliance that is active on Discord or outside of the game. It's one of the greatest ways to get involved in this community. And it really is a good community.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably one of the best. That's such a funny story. They promoted you to officer, and then you were gonna leave like the day it happened.
Just like, see ya.
Bye.
I actually hesitated leaving because they did that. I was like, oh god, I just got accepted to like a top 50 alliance, and they promoted me to officer. Do I stay? Do I go? I went.
Well, and this is back when this was pre-raid, right?
This was when raids were just starting.
Okay, so I was gonna say this is back when it was just the weekly challenge, which we need to probably touch on that briefly. But the weekly challenge not raid alliance thing, because that was back when we were like top 50, and like yeah, and then next week you're bottom 1,000. I don't care. But yeah, no, that's crazy. Holy crap.
Yeah. We should also at some point say we all three are members of an alliance together. That's why we have this podcast.
Yes, we are.
The shameless plug for our own alliance should probably happen at some point during this.
None of us are in charge of recruitment for the New Gods or New Genesis, but they are both great alliances. So if you happen to see that there is a slot open,
apply.
Might not be a bad idea to try and reach out. One of us can direct you to who to talk to on Discord.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe one day we'll get Warrior on here and y'all can hear one of our fearless leaders on.
That would be really fun.
He still won't do it. I tried. I tried the other day again.
No, you should convince him.
It's gonna take an arm and a leg. Might have to involve some alcohol. We'll see. Maybe happy hour.
Just roll a d20.
That's
on a nat 20 we can get him?
Yeah,
on a
for
nat
sure.
20 and only a nat 20. But yeah, no, we're part of a very wonderful alliance. I feel like since Erebus got to have his story time, I feel like we should also have his story time, Yorongoth.
Please.
Go ahead. I'll go after you.
Okay. Oh, thanks. That really. It's exciting. I started playing DC. Well, hold on. When did y'all start? Just so I can gauge something real quick before I make a statement.
4 years ago this month.
4 years ago this month.
I started in November of 2017.
Okay, got it. So let me just check something to make sure I'm right, because I don't want to make a bold statement that's incorrect. Because I'm gonna make a very bold statement in a second. Okay, great. So I am the oldest playing member here, because I started the month after the game started in 2016.
That's a long time ago.
So this was pre-alliances. We didn't even have those. And so,
Wow.
I didn't know. I thought alliances were baseline. That must be an
no,
awesome
that was
state
the
of the
bare
game.
minimum, and we did not have it.
Oh wow.
But so I got to be there when they're like, "Hey, we're gonna try this new thing called alliances," and it was really funny because there was a time when you couldn't even join one. It was like the first of the biggest glitches of the game, which we don't have that problem anymore. Glitches aren't a thing anymore.
Look for a future episode of Why Should I Care About on glitches.
That might be an hour-long episode. Let's be honest.
That one would never end.
It would just be us venting the whole time.
I think that's gonna be my favorite episode. But so way back when, so alliances, so it's kind of an every man for himself kind of thing. But there was also really no competition among other people other than the weekly raid ones, and that was really it. And so then they added alliances, and they added alliances. But if I remember correctly, they didn't add like the weekly alliance missions until like a couple months into that. Because there was always the question of why should I join? Why should I join one? Why should I care? And then they said, oh, this is why you should care. Here's an event. We're like, oh, we can do that. And so for the record, alliance missions, we kind of touched on that's how you get the rewards for the social tab, but it's doing heroic campaign missions with a series of, with a select set of tunes every week or day, or PvP with a different selection every day, so it swaps out like the rotation, and the only one that's consistent is the plus 5.2. So this week that we're filming it, or the recording this, is Azrael, and last week's what was last week's? Was it Shazam?
I think it was Shazam, yeah. One of the Shazams.
Yeah, it was, I think it was Billy, so Shazam Senior. But yeah, so, and I will cycle throughout the week. I just realized, I was like, we didn't touch on that too much, so let's touch on that. But so I was there when Alliance started, I was there when Weekly Mission started, but when I joined an Alliance, I did the random Alliance button, and I joined this team. Very similar situation, where I was one of the stronger players, and then I left because they weren't really doing much, and so I left and then I left and then found another one. I didn't find another one that left, and I just did I did the CC. So I used the CC to find my second group, which was, I don't think they're around anymore, the New Age Assassins from forever ago, and we had a rift within it that half the group left and the other half stayed. Yeah, I've been in the drama alliances. It's been really fun to an extent. I wasn't like convoluted, not convoluted. What was the other one? Black Lantern Corps. That was the big, like, huge conglomerate of like 20 alliances, all Black Lantern Corps, and like Black Lantern Corps 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It was so big. Convoluted has a lot of teams too. That's why I probably thought of them. So we did New Age Assassins, and then that broke off into 2 teams, and that's where the Paladins came from, which is what I was with until last year, when we had so many players leave. It was a very different alliance. I had actually been an officer for 2 years prior to this, and I was there with Dark Parable, who he and I had started talking, and we decided it was time for us to step away because of just a lot of, like, it's a completely new team, and people weren't putting in the effort that they used to, because we prided ourselves on having hit top 10 multiple times when Paladin did a couple years ago. And so we had hit top 10 multiple times, and then we stepped back into the 50, and then we started getting close to 100. And we're kind of like, okay, this isn't the same team that we're used to. And we're putting out that work for top 10 rewards to get top 100. And so what we left, and I was like, I'll find someone eventually. And Dark shoots me a message on Discord the next couple of days. And it says, "Hey, I'm joining the New Gods. You want in?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll try that. That's fine." And I've been here for about a year now.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's my little soapbox story time.
So my story is not as interesting, in my opinion, as your guys's, but it really has to do with the camaraderie aspect of alliances. When I first started, it was, like I said earlier, around November 2017, and I found mine through the in-game community, and I saw a message board for an alliance called JLA/JSA, So naturally I was like, oh, I'm going to join that. That would be cool. And while I was there for about 3 years or so before the leadership left, but I made friends with Eldion, which is one of the leaders of that alliance, and he's now an officer here in the New Gods, and that's about it. We became friends, and I've just been tagging along where he went since.
Nice.
I mean, that's a pretty good story still.
Yeah.
Because you kind of, like you said, it's got the camaraderie. You bonded with someone and you ran with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show how this silly little mobile game that most of us just picked up on a whim can actually lead to friendships.
Exactly.
I mean, I think I talk to everyone in the New God server probably every day. Warrior and I have a very, very long DM. Like, I'll go back, I'm like, oh my gosh, we talk a lot. Oh, this is weird.
Warrior is actually the person who helped connect me to UA1 when I joined them.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So I've known Warrior longer than I've been in the New Gods by a long time.
Yeah, what a man.
Yeah, I really like Warrior.
Right, and someday you will hear him on this podcast if you demand it loud enough.
Yes, so please demand it, because that will get him on. That's all we need. Honestly,
exactly.
Knowing him, I think the episode that he comes on will be the last one. Like, he's going to be like, oh, it's the last one? I guess I can come on now. All that work for nothing.
Well, that'll be years in the future.
Ears open.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for this podcast. We hope that you come away from this caring a little bit more about alliances. As I said during the podcast, you can find us online at apokolipspod.com or on Twitter at apokolipspod. There will be links to our Discord server that you can find on there, along with our YouTube channel. Please go check it out, and thank you all for listening.
Have a good day.